That's not going to happen.
Hunter Biden isn't mincing words when it comes to First Lady Melania Trump's bombshell lawsuit threat. Biden refused a reported request from Melania's lawyer that he apologize for claims he repeated about her alleged connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
So, Hunter Biden is really not holding back regarding Melania Trump's recent threat of a lawsuit. He straight up refused to apologize after her lawyer asked him to backtrack his claims about her supposed ties to Jeffrey Epstein. This isn't just some minor celebrity feud or random internet gossip. Melania is knee-deep in a real legal mess here. We're talking about serious billion-dollar threats, anti-SLAPP lawsuits, jurisdictional battles, and the possibility that she might have to sit down and testify under oath about her past connections with Epstein. No wonder she's feeling the heat. It all kicked off with one explosive interview that sent shockwaves through the political, media, and legal worlds. Hunter jumped on YouTube and claimed that Jeffrey Epstein was actually the one who introduced Melania to Donald Trump.
When the New York Times, I think Annie Carney and Maggie Haberman reported that sources said that Jeffrey Epstein claimed to be the person to introduce Donald Trump to Melania at that time.
That revelation was a real game-changer. It wasn't just chit-chat. It raised some serious eyebrows. Epstein wasn't just any old financier. He was a convicted sex offender known for mingling with powerful people across various fields like politics, business, and entertainment. As soon as that claim was made, it transformed the conversation from mere gossip into something that could draw public scrutiny. Melania didn't take it lightly either. Instead of making a quiet denial or a brief statement, her legal team fired back with some jaw-dropping threats that left even experienced lawyers surprised.
Mrs. Trump is seeking $1 billion in damages if we don't take the video down, and if Hunter here doesn't issue a formal apology to Mrs. Trump. So now we're here maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
That kind of number definitely meant to send a message. Melania Trump and her legal team had a plan that wasn't about fairness. It was about power. They aimed to intimidate anyone who dared to question her narrative, hoping to crush them under a mountain of legal threats. But things took an unexpected turn that they clearly didn't see coming. Instead of scaring people away, their threats drew in journalists, writers, and legal experts into the fray. The very act of intimidation became newsworthy, and it activated certain legal protections designed to prevent wealthy individuals from using lawsuits to silence others. This is where Michael Wolff comes into play.
I've spoken publicly about aspects of those interviews and the things Epstein said, including things he said about Melania Trump. I was notified the other day by Melania Trump's lawyers that they intend to sue me.
He has spoken about Melania Trump in the past, touching on her social life, modeling career, and connections to New York's elite. Importantly, he had hinted that Melania was linked to Jeffrey Epstein's circle before Trump dove into politics. Wolff's attitude was resolute. He expressed his desire to have both Donald and Melania Trump testify under oath, where he could ask about their relationship with Epstein. So when Melania's legal team threw down a massive $1 billion defamation lawsuit threat at him, Wolff didn't back down. He took the fight to them. Instead of waiting to be sued, he decided to file his own lawsuit in New York State Court. He invoked anti-SLAPP laws.
My lawyers last night, turning the tables and refusing to acquiesce to these threats, went into court in New York and asked for a declaratory judgment. Effectively, I am suing Melania.
Which are specifically designed to stop powerful people from silencing journalists and authors with intimidation tactics. These laws allow defendants to challenge questionable legal threats right away, seek dismissal, and even recover their legal costs if it turns out the lawsuit was really about stifling speech. In his court filing, Wolff didn't hold back. He revealed that Melania's lawyer had threatened him with damages exceeding $1 billion.
I'm not the only one who has faced these kinds of lawsuits. This has just become their trick in the book. We don't want this discussion to go on. How do we stop it? We threaten people with lawsuits for billions of dollars.
These legal maneuvers are often referred to as slap suits. Melania's situation took a sharp turn when Wohl made it clear that if this legal battle kept going, he was ready to put both her and Donald Trump under oath. We're talking about depositions, discovery, and court-ordered answers. No controlled interviews or scripted appearances, just straight testimony under penalty of perjury. That's where the stakes really changed. Meanwhile, instead of standing strong, Melania's approach shifted noticeably. Court documents showed that Wohl tried to officially serve her with the lawsuit through her own lawyer, the same attorney who had sent those threatening letters. Unsurprisingly, the lawyer wouldn't take the service. So, Wohl's team went right to Trump Tower in New York, confirming that Melania lived there. Yet, they still faced refusal. This wasn't just a coincidence. It seemed like a deliberate move to avoid facing the legal issues head-on. It felt almost like something out of a movie, with Melania acting as if she were ducking process servers, avoiding accepting the legal papers and trying to stretch out the case for as long as she could. But courts aren't going to let that slide forever, especially not for public figures. You can't just escape a lawsuit by pretending it doesn't exist. Instead of rushing to file her own defamation case, which would have put her in the spotlight for immediate discovery, Melania's legal team opted for a different strategy. They moved Wohl's case to federal court, arguing on technical grounds since she supposedly lives in Florida, while Wohl is based in New York, with the amount in question exceeding the federal threshold. But there was more to this move. By shifting the case to federal court, Melania's lawyers were clearly looking to land it in the Southern District of Florida, where Judge Eileen Cannon presides. She has a history of making rulings that favor Trump and his circle. This was no coincidence. It was a classic case of shopping for a friendly forum, trying to get the case in front of a judge they thought would be more sympathetic. So, here's the situation. Melania's legal team tried to paint her as sympathetic to halt the legal discovery process, or at least slow it down. But Wolff's team wasn't having any of it. They immediately pushed back, demanding jurisdictional discovery to really nail down where Melania actually calls home. And this is where things start to get tense, because residency isn't some casual label. It's something that can be proven with paperwork, travel records, financial statements, school enrollment forms, and sworn testimony. If Melania asserts she lives in Florida, she's got to back it up. The funny part is that proving her residency could lead to the very scrutiny she's hoping to dodge. This is where the story tightens up. Once residency becomes the main issue, everything about Melania's carefully crafted public persona becomes fair game in court. It's not like the courts take vibes or press releases into account. They deal in documents, timelines, and sworn statements. Your residency is determined by where you lay your head most nights, where your mail lands, where your family is, where your child goes to school, where you pay taxes, and where life happens daily. This is precisely why Melania's team is in such a hurry to avoid jurisdictional discovery. Over the years, she maintained she's a Florida resident, especially following Trump's move to Mar-a-Lago. But the public reports, witness accounts, and even building records suggest she spends a lot of time in New York. Trump Tower isn't just a name on paper. It's a place she actually lives. Staff have confirmed she's there, paparazzi have tracked her movements, and crucially, her son Barron went to school in New York while Melania was claiming to be a Florida resident. That alone raises some pretty glaring red flags, as courts tend to look at family location as a major factor in determining residency. If Wolff's attorneys are permitted to dig into jurisdictional discovery, they can subpoena school records, travel logs, Secret Service movement details, financial statements, and all sorts of correspondence. They could ask straightforward but potentially devastating questions under oath, like, where did you sleep on certain dates? Where was your main residence during specific times? And why were you in New York if you were claiming to be a Florida resident? These aren't just theoretical questions. They come with clear right or wrong answers. And here's the sticky situation Melania finds herself in. If she cooperates, she risks revealing inconsistencies that could damage her credibility. If she decides to hold back, the court might draw unfavorable conclusions about her. Melania is in a bit of a tricky spot right now. By not filing her own defamation lawsuit, she's actually playing a defensive game, trying to keep critics at bay without inviting unwanted scrutiny. If she were to take that step, she'd have to deal with the whole discovery process, which means she'd face depositions, produce documents, and answer all kinds of questions about her time in social circles linked to Jeffrey Epstein, like modeling agencies, events, travel, and introductions. But here's the kicker. With Wolff now being the plaintiff, he sets the pace and calls the shots. He's not just curious. He has a solid background in journalism, already having interviewed Epstein and spent decades digging into these networks. He knows precisely what to ask to poke the right pressure points. Interestingly, Wolff has treaded carefully in his statements, steering clear of outright accusations of criminal activity against Melania. This matters a lot because defamation laws hinge on false statements that harm someone's reputation. Talking about someone's connections in a public setting is usually protected speech, especially when that person is a public figure and the discussion is relevant to the public interest. So Melania's threat of $1 billion lawsuit may have backfired, actually bolstering Wolff's legal standing instead of silencing him. There are anti-SLAPP laws in place for situations like this, designed to protect against powerful figures using lawsuits to stifle truthful reporting. These laws can help courts dismiss such threats early on, potentially even making the accuser cover the defendant's legal fees. And once discovery kicks in, things start to get intense. Depositions aren't casual chats. They're like legal surgery where lawyers already know the answers and aim to test for consistency, revisiting timelines, and introducing documents to uncover any discrepancies. It only takes one contradiction or one too many I don't recalls to raise eyebrows. Once those testimonies are recorded, they're permanently on the record. This is likely why Melania's public appearances lately seem a bit off. She's under an ever-watchful eye, and you can almost feel the tension. Melania's situation is quite a tricky one. She's managed to create this carefully crafted image over the years, relying on mystery and silence. But when you step into a courtroom, all of that starts to crumble. Unlike her public appearances where everything is scripted and controlled, a deposition is a different ball game. There's no teleprompter, no cheering audience, just raw questions, and a court reporter capturing every single word. In this setting, Wolff's attorneys could bring up anything from her past modeling gigs to her social life in New York and Palm Beach, her interactions with people related to Jeffrey Epstein, and how her relationship with Trump has unfolded over time. Even if nothing illegal comes out of it, just the act of being exposed like that could destroy the air of mystery she's worked so hard to maintain. It's also important to consider the financial side of things. Living in Florida has tax perks that aren't available in New York, which comes with higher financial responsibilities. If inconsistencies about her residency come into play, it could lead to even more scrutiny beyond just this case. Courts really don't appreciate it when people twist the truth for personal gain, especially under oath. What may begin as a simple legal matter could quickly spiral into questions about her credibility that affect all sorts of unrelated issues. This isn't just a case of defamation. It's a high-stakes legal situation where every choice she makes counts. Melania made a bold move, trying to assert herself with a billion-dollar threat, but Wolff turned the tables by demanding accountability. Now Melania finds herself in a tight spot. She can either cooperate, which could expose her vulnerabilities, or she can resist, which might make her look like she's hiding something, and the pressure is really piling up. Right now, it's not just about whether she wins or loses a legal battle. It's all about her exposure, credibility, and control. While she's built her public image on maintaining distance and ambiguity, that approach falls flat in a courtroom where facts are what really matter. Courts aren't swayed by mystique. They want the truth. Even if she manages to win on a technicality, the process itself can be brutal. Each legal filing grabs media attention. Every delay raises eyebrows, and attempts to evade service or shift the venue only amplify the feeling that she's got something to hide. And when someone infamous like Jeffrey Epstein is involved, perception is everything. The irony here is palpable. If Melania had just brushed off the original claim or given a light denial, nothing would have escalated to this level. But she went all out instead, throwing around $1 billion threat that does more than just scare people. It raises eyebrows and shows vulnerability. It makes journalists and lawyers sit up and take notice, signaling that there are boundaries. She'd rather keep untouched, which almost guarantees someone is going to test those limits. And that's exactly what Wolff did. He jumped in first. By flipping the power dynamic, he didn't just stand up for himself. He opened the floodgates, invoking laws meant to protect reporting that's in the public interest. He insisted on the right to ask questions under oath, framing the whole situation not as mere gossip, but as accountability. This perspective is crucial because courts really value matters of public interest, especially when it involves a former First Lady entangled in a historically significant scandal. Melania's situation is even more precarious because she isn't in a bubble. Epstein's network has been scrutinized for years, and fresh revelations keep popping up with flight logs, contact books, settlement records, and survivor testimonies reshaping how people view Epstein's operations. Anyone even slightly connected to that world is under the microscope, whether they like it or not. Her team knows this well, which is why they're fighting so hard against the jurisdiction issue, trying to keep the case out of New York and desperately avoiding discovery at all costs. Once discovery kicks in, she loses control. The narrative shifts from being hers to manage, and the law doesn't have much tolerance for games. Judges are sharp. They catch on to patterns, avoidance techniques, and contradictions. If Melania keeps resisting basic legal procedures, she could face sanctions, unfavorable rulings, or even be compelled to comply. All outcomes that don't help someone trying to appear calm and confident. In the grand scheme of things, this case highlights a familiar pattern in the Trump world. Legal threats are treated as weapons. Intimidation takes the place of transparency, and delays feel like wins. But when these tactics clash with seasoned litigators and savvy journalists who know the ropes, they tend to blow up in their faces. That's the reality here. Melania Trump isn't in a state of panic over just one comment or one reporter. She's freaking out because the protective barrier surrounding her story is starting to weaken. She's anxious because a court might soon demand that she give some answers. Melania Trump is in a tough spot now that she might have to answer questions she's dodged for years. The situation is tense. Her usual tactic of keeping quiet might not work anymore. When sworn testimony enters the mix, everything changes. Suddenly, her words become evidence. Timelines solidify and stories get tested. The reality of the truth, whatever it might be, is no longer just a theory. It's becoming part of the public record. This isn't just some gossip or speculation. It's a serious legal battle with real consequences that go well beyond the headlines. One misstep, one vague answer, those could reshape how the public sees Melania for a long time. This is why the stakes are so high, and the pressure is only going to build. Time isn't on her side either. While courts may seem slow, they keep moving forward. Every legal delay only buys her a bit more time, but it doesn't grant her an escape. Eventually, a judge will decide the case's direction, and her situation could shift dramatically. If the court allows jurisdictional discovery, she won't have the luxury of picking and choosing her responses. There's no rewriting history or hiding behind carefully crafted press releases or lawyer statements. She'll have to answer under oath. This is the nightmare her legal team is trying to avoid. Sworn testimony is harsh. It's not about the image or vibes. It's about specific dates, names, locations, and whether her answers match up with existing records. It's crucial that her responses stay consistent when approached from different angles. And any inconsistencies, they not only look bad, but come with legal ramifications too. That's why the question of her residency is so explosive. If a court finds she misrepresented where she lives, it can seriously hurt her credibility. Imagine if she's been claiming to live in Florida while actually residing in New York. That opens up a whole can of worms beyond this case. It brings in issues of taxes, filing records, previous sworn statements, and other legal papers. Just one crack can spread quickly. And then there's the unresolved matter involving Epstein, a topic that looms large. No amount of legal tricks can make that disappear. Wolff isn't accusing Melania of any criminal behavior, and that's not the point here. The focus is on relevance. The question is whether inquiries about her social circle, connections, and past introductions can be legitimately explored, especially given her ties to someone entwined with such notorious figures. Melania's approach was meant to intimidate and silence, but it seems to have backfired spectacularly. Instead of quieting the chatter, it's drawn more attention to her situation, giving journalists the legal leverage they need to dig deeper. It's probably surprising how this entire case has kept growing rather than fading away, especially considering the public's interest in Epstein. He's no minor gossip figure. He's a well-documented criminal with ties to powerful global networks, which means any serious claim involving him calls for closer inspection. The optics are tough to miss. When a former First Lady threatens billion-dollar lawsuits against reporters while dodging basic legal steps, it doesn't come across as self-assured. It sends a message of fear. It almost feels like she's trying to use her influence to silence inquiries instead of confronting them head-on. And on the other side of this, Wolff has very little to lose by pushing forward. Thanks to those anti-SLAPP laws, he's got financial protection, and the discovery process works in his favor. Delays end up hurting Melania more than him, and he portrays himself as someone seeking transparency rather than someone making accusations, which gives him a solid position both in court and in public opinion. If this goes to depositions, we're going to see a pretty clear contrast. One side has a journalist asking questions grounded in factual evidence, past reporting, and sworn statements from other cases. On the other side, there's a figure who's managed to steer clear of unscripted scrutiny for most of her public life. That kind of imbalance really matters. Even if Melania settles or finds a way out of this mess, the damage could already be significant. Settlements don't wipe the slate clean. They often raise more questions. Staying silent after escalating tensions invites even more speculation than the original claims ever did. So now she's caught in a tricky situation. She can't move forward without facing risks, but she can't retreat without facing repercussions either. Every choice she makes leaves her exposed, and the longer this drags on, the more pressure builds. This isn't just about Hunter Biden or a single interview or author anymore. It's really about whether the carefully crafted narrative can withstand rigorous legal scrutiny, whether silence can hold up against sworn testimonies, and whether intimidation still works when the other party knows their rights. Right now, it seems like the protective strategy that worked for Melania Trump over the years is starting to unravel. I'm telling you, the situation was tense, and Melania found herself caught off guard in court. It was a real moment of reckoning for her. She just didn't seem to see it coming, and it honestly felt like she was cornered. The way things unfolded was surprising to say the least, and you could just sense the weight of it all around her. It's wild how quickly things can change in a courtroom, isn't